Help us level the playing field. Sign the parliamentary petition today to fuel the growth and fund the game.
Well, hello and welcome to Dorothy Laver West Reserve for Saturday afternoon NPLW Victoria football. It's the round 7 clash and one of the most anticipated clashes of the weekend as the high-flying Alamein welcome the reigning premiers Heidelberg United to Ashburton in what promises to be a game of great consequence for both teams. Alamein right near the top of the table as things stand, sitting in third at the start of the weekend, and the chance, come the end of this 90 minutes, to go at least a point clear, or to go 1 point clear rather, on top of the Senol NPLW Victoria ladder. They've got an almighty task before them though if they are to beat the Burgers, who, despite being the reigning premiers, champions the season before that. Things haven't been all smooth sailing for Dennis Georgakopoulos' Heidelberg in 2026 thus far. Finally managed to snag their first win of the campaign last weekend against Spring Hills, and they'll be hoping to make it 2 in a row, but far from a mean feat against this Alamein team, who amongst other things just don't seem to concede goals. But we'll get into all of that and much more over the course of the next 90 minutes or so. My name is Oscar Rutherford here to talk you through this afternoon's games. It's fairly similar lineups run with both coaches for this afternoon. Indeed, just the one change to each starting 11 for Alamein. Matilda Laurie has dropped to the bench for this afternoon, with Jordan Tom's Wedge coming in for her first Alamein start, having come off the bench in all 5 previous games up to this point. There's also a chance for a member of one of the under-20s players to maybe get a crack at senior football. Mila Ralph is named by John Kyrgios on the bench for Alamein this afternoon. Heidelberg, meanwhile, their one change comes in midfield with a big return in the form of Hayley Gertz. She reclaims her position in the starting 11 from Teodora Juric, who will start this afternoon from the bench. Only other change from the Burgers to the matchday squad sees Madison Barwise come onto the bench. She's taken the spot vacated by Irina Razumich. Just waiting a few extra moments as Heidelberg finish their team huddle before taking up their positions. And with the whistle from our central referee, we're underway at Dorothy Laver West Reserve. Alamein and Heidelberg in the Senol NPLW Victoria. Alamein hoping to claim top spot, at least for a few hours ahead of tonight's big game at the top of the table between Burundara and Box Hill. Whilst Heidelberg hoping to creep their way higher up the ladder, having picked up that first win last week. They did manage a few creditable draws before then. The Burgers were a little bit unlucky with their points tally, not totally reflective of how they'd played up to this point in the season. Then again, we're maybe a little bit fortunate to come away with the 3 points last week as well. So these things tend to even out across the course of a season, as we see a first foray forward for Alamein. That ball cuffed up by Dakota Tyson in midfield, won back by Sam Kerwood-Wagner, who now charges forward for the Burgers, looks towards Soji Yoon. Gigi, as she's affectionately known at Heidelberg. Ball won back by Addison Broadbent. Now this is Soji Yoon once more. This is Aya Sasaki, whose ball over the top will be marshalled by Chinatsu Shidara for goalkeeper Miranda Templeman. And now Alamein will restart play with Analia Kopoulos playing out from the back. Running through the rest of that Alamein team for you. In goal, as mentioned, was Miranda Templeman. Number 2 is Estelle Burgess. Number 3 is Chinatsu Shidara. Number 4, Analia Kopoulos. Number 6, Dakota Tyson. 7, Savannah Anastasopoulos. Number 8 is Nev Dustin. Number 9, Summer Lasky. 10, Emma Runnels. 11, Zoe Houghton. And number 12, Jordan Tom's Wedge. Whilst for the Burgers in goal is Alyssa Chechelnitsky. Number 6 is Nali Plan. 8, Aya Sasaki. 10, Hayley Gertz. 13, Rosie Wild. 14, Maya Hasten. 20, Minori Akiyama. 24, Addison Broadbent, 28, Sam Kerwood-Wagner, 66, Annalie Bidwell, and number 99, the striker, Soji Yoon. Alamein put under the cosh by Heidelberg as the team in yellow's press forces the ball to be sent out of play. Throw in taken short to Akiyama. Cross sent in. Gnarly Plant with a fairly audacious attempt. Did well to get a boot to it, but unable to generate any meaningful power. Now Shidara for Alamein uses Tyson in midfield. Again, the press pays off for Heidelberg. Here's Gertz. From a long way out, Hayley Gertz. She's certainly capable of finding the back of the net from distance. Former Heidelberg midfielder, but that one was a straightforward take for Miranda Templeman. Runnels in midfield. Slipped as she tried to play the ball, but it worked out in the end as Estelle Bugis tries the through ball. Cut out by Maya Hasten. And now Gnarly Plant for the Burgers. Has Soji Yoon in the box. That's where the ball was headed. Templeman well aware of the danger and quickly mops things up. Ball sent forward by Tom's Wedge, quickly cut out, but Alamein regained possession. Anastasiopoulos unable to trap the ball, and Addison Broadbent will happily watch it roll into touch for a throw. Hosts Alamein coming into this game off the back of a commanding 3-0 win against Preston. The Lions maybe not as formidable opponent as we've seen in recent seasons, at least not just at the moment, but nonetheless that win of great relief to coach John Kyrgios to see his team piling in some goals, having proven themselves a very capable defensive team. And Anastasiopoulos playing that one off Broadbent wins Alamein their first corner of the afternoon. Sun has poked its head through the clouds. It's been a typical Melbourne day with rain, wind and shine all in one. Corner sent in fairly flat. And Broadbent under no illusions about her role as she gets it as far forward as possible, and this could fall favourably for Kerwood-Wagner. Has Bugis for company, but Kerwood-Wagner just barrels past her. Has Soji Yoon still going as Sam Kerwood-Wagner. It's a shot on target. It was a reasonable save from Templeman. Sam Kerwood-Wagner, since making the return to Olympic Village, has really hit the ground running in 2026. Already the 3 goals to her name, and very nearly making it 4. Miranda Templeman, certainly the busier of the 2 goalkeepers in the opening exchanges. It was Rosie Wild who just lost out for half a second to Summer Lasky and dragged back her opponent. And because of that, the Heidelberg captain will be the first name into the referee's notebook. Rosie Wild alongside her centre-back partner Maya Hasten, such an integral part of this Heidelberg team. Of course, were last season as well when the Burgers backed up their championship with a premiership. And one of the few pieces of the Heidelberg puzzle which have remained constant between 2025 and 2026. Plenty of change in the Burgers this off-season, but trying to get themselves back on the road towards the top end of the ladder. That free kick from Alamein, well, I can't imagine that will be looked upon too favourably in the match review. Nothing comes of it, and Alyssa Chetjonitsky grateful to just have to play ball girl for a moment as she heads back to collect the ball. Decent first touch there from Sasaki as Annalie Bidwell looks to pick out Kerwood Wagner. Leokopoulos getting there to intercept. Now Akiyama was closed down by Runnels. Once more Broadbent tasked with chasing the ball out towards the byline and sending it back towards her goalkeeper. This is Nali Plant, who got herself on the score sheet last weekend. Scoring that goal just before half-time against Spring Hills, which went a long way to helping the Burgers secure that first win. And Samalaski's been flagged for offside. It's a really good first touch from Houghton. Uses Lasky, who shifts the ball onto her right. Summer Lasky goes towards Runnels, and Emma Runnels firing a goal and forcing a first real save from Chetchelnitsky. A nice passage of attacking play from Alamein as they work their way forward before their stalwart in the front half of the pitch, Emma Runnels, sent it towards goal. Chance here for the hosts to accumulate some pressure. This corner is again flat, and again Addison Broadbent is in best position to send it clear. Attempting to return the favour there was Dakota Tyson. No one there making the run, and indeed it's well overhit, so Heidelberg will be able to restart with a goal kick. Alamein, as mentioned in the pre-game, just don't concede goals. Only the one they've conceded across their first 5 this season. Somewhat surprisingly, that one goal, of course, coming against Bentley Greens in a game that was as tough as any as Alamein have played so far this campaign, needing 2 late goals to turn that one around after the Greens had taken the lead here at Dorothy Labour West Reserve. But other than that, no team has been able to breach the Alamein defence. You'd say Heidelberg are pretty reasonable candidates to be the next one to do so. They have had so much success in recent years with an attacking brand of football. Well read by Tom's Wedge. Heidelberg have continued to score the goals this campaign. The real struggle has been at the other end of the pitch where they've been letting in plenty. Opportunity here for Lasky. Cross comes in. Runnels was the target. Maya Hasten had to make that interception and did. See the ball sent into that very awkward part of the pitch for the goalkeeper. Bending away from Chetchelnitsky, but also might be able to see some of the surface underneath the feet of the players in the goal area. Much muddier than the rest of the pitch, which is a reasonably good nick this afternoon. Corner sent in from the opposite side, this time by Alamein, and Shadara was there and unmarked, but ultimately didn't have the balance to direct the header on target. Throw taken short as Heidelberg look to spend a little bit of time on the ball. They've been spending a lot of this game on the back foot thus far. Alamein turning the screw slightly after the opening couple of minutes. Rosie Wild has to work hard to chase back for this one. And the end result is an Alamein throw, so Heidelberg doing themselves no favours. Dustin firing towards goal. It's awkward for Chechelnitsky. Broadbent had to be there to send it clear. Now Plant's run doesn't get too far. Once again, Alamein starting the build-up with Annalia Kopoulos, player so technically capable. This attacking move didn't pan out quite as she'd planned though, so Kerwood Wagner now for the Burgers. Spins one way, then the other, and winning her team a corner. It's been end-to-end football in the opening 14 minutes of this one. Both teams showing plenty of attacking intent. And this time it's Heidelberg who'll deliver the corner. Aya Sasaki currently with ball in hand, and Hayley Gertz offering the short option. But Sasaki very much looking to go more direct than that. Into the heart of the box, headed away by Runnels. Follow up from Gertz is speculative at best. So a comfortable claim as Alamein look to restart, this time through Shidara. Haven't seen as much of the attacking play coming down this right-hand side from Alamein. Bugis was not entirely expecting the pass from Tyson, but adapted quickly enough. Mentioned some of the defensive woes for Heidelberg. Still going at a rate of conceding on average 2 goals per game. So whilst they're remaining very capable of scoring, it's at the other end of the pitch where they're giving themselves work to do. That ball is claimed again by Miranda Templeman. Of course, Templeman, a player with A-League experience, coming back to NPLW Victoria from Perth Glory. So a former Melbourne Victory, South Melbourne player as well. But that ball fighting its way all the way through to her opposite number in Alyssa Chechelnitsky. Goes short for Akiyama, but giving away possession. Chance for Anastasopoulos. Goes with the cross. Broadbent throwing her body on the line, and in the end, the defensive pressure was enough to put off the Alamein winger. This is, of course, just one of a number of big games on a real Super Saturday of Senol NPLW Victoria action. Already completed the one game this afternoon, with Avondale proving too strong for Bentley Greens. But 3 games kicking off simultaneously. This game, as well as Keilor Park against Essendon Royals, and the 2 academy teams, Melbourne City and Melbourne Victory, going head-to-head. And then 2 more massive games to come as well. That ball's given away by Templeman to Gertz. Sasaki returns it to her midfield partner, and Hayley Gertz snatched somewhat at that shot. But after this triple header of games, at 4 o'clock, we've got kickoff at the Veneto Club as Bulleen hosts Preston. And then later tonight, the late night 8:30 kickoff, we'll see Burundara against Box Hill United, the teams who came into the round sitting first and second on the NPLW ladder. I should say second and first to get it the right order round. Burundara in second, Box Hill in first. Alamein with a chance to leapfrog both if they were to win this afternoon. That ball forward headed by Plant. And yet again, Templeman spending a lot of this game well off her line. Templeman spreading it to the captain in Burgess. Now sets a sizable task for Houghton, and indeed the task is too great. Here's Akiyama. Loses out to Dustin. Now Anastasiopoulos. Runnels looks towards Lasky. Plays it back to Dakota Tyson. And all the way back there was Soji Yoon. And will remain so as the long ball over the top was hoping to pick out the sneaking run of Anastasiopoulos, but instead the Heidelberg goalkeeper will once again be forced to go fetch the ball well behind the goal. So a somewhat peculiar first 19 or so minutes. A game that hasn't fully taken off, but it's never been comfortable for either team, you felt. Both very happy to get the ball forward quickly and keep the other on their toes. It's making for some quite watchable football. Shidara stepping out of the defensive line, and maybe that will make some space now for Plant. Target of the through ball, but Stel Burgess showing all of her composure to nod it back towards the goalkeeper. Pretty firm coming together between Anastasiopoulos and Broadbent. Will result in the referee just having a quick chat to the young fullback. Certainly showing a willingness to throw her weight around in the first month and a half of her NPLW Victoria career, Addison Broadbent. Here's Soji Yoon. Opens things up on the left and floats the ball towards goal, but always looked to have too much height. Danger from Leakopoulos. Potentially coughing it up into the path of Akiyama. Now Plant. Beaten by Tyson, who is taking no chances as she sends it away from goal. Here's Houghton. Does well to skip past Hayson. Now Anastasiopoulos looking to return the favour. Chechonitsky coming a long way out of her goal, but it was the right decision. Some frustration you might have been able to hear from the Alamein coach, John Kyrgios. That one, Shidara trying to head it clear, and we'll get another attempt at dealing with this moment now. Sends it all the way back to the goalkeeper. Templeman's right under the cosh. Did really well to find Leakopoulos. Well, heart and mouth moment for Alamein. And in the end, the back line doing well enough and will earn themselves a throw. Shidara hoping to pick out Lasky, met though by Wild, and now Akiyama. Fairly ambitious with that ball forward, and Stel Bugis scurries back to keep the ball in play. Alamein still yet to be beaten in this 2026 season. Across those opening 5 games that they have played. Of course, a game fewer than most, having had their game against Melbourne City postponed, so they'll soon enough be back on an equal footing to the rest of the competition. Bugis' ball cut out by Wild. And now Gert sends it towards Akiyama. Worth noting as well that Alamein are a perfect 9 points from 9 here at Dorothy Laver West Reserve. Kerwood Wagner's ball finds Gertz. And you saw the idea with Plant having space to the left. Met by Bugis. Now Wild stepping up from defence and pulls the trigger herself. That one a more regulation take for Templeman. Alamein, though, playing at home this season, as mentioned earlier, that last game here against Bentley Greens, where they scraped home. Before then, a 1-0 win against Essendon Royals, thanks to an early Leakopoulos goal. And prior to that, Savannah Anastasopoulos' goal was all that was necessary to beat Avondale in the opening round. A real surprise result, you'd have to say. Avondale, the big spenders, coming up into the top flight. Haven't quite been able to find their rhythm thus far, although did get that commanding win earlier this afternoon. Anastasopoulos out towards Houghton, but asking too much of her fellow forward. And Addison Broadbent smacking the ball off Savannah Anastasopoulos to earn herself a throw. Broadbent trying to sneak a few extra metres, and referee very much catching on. Attempt to send it forward by Tom's wedge will be continued by Dustin. It's a good enough first touch from Houghton, just about, but the desperate defensive lunge taking it away from Runnels. Tyson using Burgess. Goes the cross towards the middle, but stepping out of the defensive line was Rosie Wild. And that was always going to be a handball from Nev Dustin. And again, Heidelberg not wasting any time. Templeman with a swing and a miss. Well, not for the first time in this half. Heart palpitations maybe if you're on the Alamein bench, as Miranda Templeman has done a lot of good work off her line, but that of course comes with risk, as we saw there. Maybe an awkward bounce, taking it away from the goalkeeper, and just now getting back to her feet. Throw into the box for Heidelberg. So Jiyun lets it run. And now Runnels with the switch towards Anastasopoulos. Really clever from Anna Runnels to send Anastasopoulos on her way. Cross comes in. Closest to it was Houghton. Follow up from Lasky. Well, it's as good a look as we've seen. A really slick Alamein move. Emma Runnels gets a lot of the credit, but Anastasopoulos with the run, and the cross was good too. And Summer Lasky getting right under the attempted finish and skying it over the crossbar. So a really good look for Alamein. But as we tick past half an hour played, this game continuing to deliver plenty of entertainment. Akiyama and Plant combined. Just getting in between them, but eventually Alamein do get the ball forward to Lasky. It's a lovely reverse pass, once again setting Anastasopoulos a task. And this time it's a little bit too great. And Heidelberg will be grateful to be able to regain possession with a goal kick. That was Leokopoulos who stepped into midfield. Clever from Anastasopoulos towards Lasky. Summer Lasky. On that one she got it on target, but the angle was too tight. And Chechelnitsky there to make the save. So both teams have been able to generate reasonable looks at goal, one way or the other. Shidara giving the ball away. Here's gnarly Plant for Heidelberg. Plant's shot. Oh, Templeman did just enough. Well, an uncharacteristic error from Chinatsu Shidara. Teeing up gnarly Plant, who was through one-on-one. Got the shot past Miranda Templeman, but a faint touch from the goalkeeper, able to deflect it away from goal. So both teams now with really a golden chance to open the scoring. We remain, though, locked at 0-0. Gertz to deliver for Heidelberg onto the head of Templeman, So Ji-yoon taking on the volley. And well, with that one a long way off target, Miranda Templeman will be able to catch her breath maybe and lower the heart rate as she'll restart play in a fairly patient manner. Or eventually the build-up starts with the captain Burgess. Touch from Houghton gets it into the path of Lasky. And now Dustin. Anastasiopoulos moving over to the left flank. In combination with Runnels, the reverse pass back to the other wing where Zoe Houghton was. But just found herself sneaking in front of the defensive line, so the assistance flag raised. Burgess snatching back possession. Rosie Wilds just about always in the right position. Now Kelwood Wagner created that first real look at goal in this game with that wonderful solo run. Maybe a similar idea here. Tom's wedge. Putting herself in her opponent's path. Passes back towards Leah Coppolis, who managed to pick out Dustin. Wild's ball beats everyone, except for Miranda Templeman. Still, they encourage the Heidelberg press onto them, do Alamein. Well won back that time by Broadbent. Akiyama, Shidara, hoping to let this run behind the goal, and did so effectively. Maya Hasten coming a long way out of her usual position to contest with Houghton. Ball forward from Dustin, unable to pick out a teammate. Jonitsky under a fair bit of pressure with all the Alamein numbers converging, but picked out the gap, and that's where she sent the ball. Now Plant for Heidelberg. Gets past Shidara, Nali Plant. So Ji-yoon making the run. Plant may be caught in two minds as to how to make the most of that opportunity. And in the end, the Alamein defence scrambling back to good effect. Mentioned, of course, that a win for Alamein today would send them top, at least temporarily. Meanwhile, for Heidelberg, if they were to find a way to win this game, it would jump them up onto 9 points. So, of course, so many games to be concluded, but putting themselves in a reasonable position to get to about the halfway point up the ladder and much closer to one of those final spots. Of course, at this early stage of the season, it doesn't take too many positive results to turn your fortunes around. Heidelberg hoping to do just that with 2 consecutive wins. Wild using Sasaki. Her pass cut out by Dustin. The follow-up could get its way all the way to Plant. Gnarly Plant creates some space on the right. It's a wonderful Templeman save. Not too much wrong with the Gnarly Plant attempt. Firing it towards the bottom corner, but Miranda Templeman. Some top-class goalkeeping to keep the scores at 0-0. Corner taken short. Gertz towards the back post. Dustin sending it forward, but Akiyama will sweep up possession. Now goes the cross inboard, met by Leakopoulos. And plan that attempt further away from the goal. But another really good look at things for the Burgers. Really the only thing this game lacking after this point has been a goal. Some really excellent defensive work and goalkeeping as well as just some missed opportunities. Mean that this game remains deadlocked and scoreless. That ball too much ahead of Zoe Houghton. Of course, the incentive to pick up a win as if anything extra were needed, but for both teams, knowing that there are no league games next weekend. So a negative result is something that the losing team will have to sit with for a couple of weeks as we pause for the Easter break, although Alamein coming back earlier than most with the Tuesday week game against Melbourne City. Game postponed from earlier, from round 3 in fact. They and Alamein, that is, and Burundara starting the week 2 points behind Box Hill, but with a game in hand. So for Alamein, if they can win today and against Melbourne City, well, they'd be clear of Box Hill no matter what. And potentially finding themselves alone on top of the ladder. Emma Runnels has a couple to beat. In the end, the combination of Sasaki and Bidwell does enough. This is Kerwood Wagner for Heidelberg. Looking to get past Leakopoulos. Kerwood Wagner. The sting taken out of the shot by Bugis. Sends it a long way up towards Summerlasky, but the Heidelberg defenders working to great effect in combination, as is so often the case. Hayson getting it out to Broadbent. Akiyama racking up the passes. And Gertz has some space. And Sasaki short, went the more direct approach, hoping to pick out a run from Soji Yoon. Leakopoulos' first touch put herself under a little bit of extra pressure. Now Akiyama picks out Kerwood Wagner. Chance for Hayley Gertz. Hayley Gertz back in the lineup and opening the scoring for Heidelberg. A giveaway at the back from Alamein. This time it's pounced upon. as Haley Gertz gives Heidelberg the lead. Well, the first goal, it was surely coming, the kinds of looks that both teams were getting, and particularly Heidelberg in the last 5 or 6 minutes. And Anna Leakopoulos, just a slightly heavy touch, put herself under too much pressure, forced the somewhat panicked pass forward. And Heidelberg finally taking advantage. Gertz, a player with all the experience and composure in the world, and giving Miranda Templeman no chance as she slots it into the bottom corner. And so for just the second time this season, Alamein have conceded a goal. And only a couple of minutes before half-time, Heidelberg, you'd think, would be more than happy to take a 1-0 advantage into the break. Sasaki out towards Plant, but Estelle Bugis, as she so often does, playing interceptor. Well, Haley Gertz very much stinging her former coach, John Kyrgios, of course. Gertz spending 5 years at Heidelberg. 5 years at Burundara, rather, I should say, where with John Kyrgios as coach. Former Burundara captain as well, Gertz. This is Lasky towards the back post where Runnels was waiting, but over the top of the forward and behind for a goal kick. Yes, Haley Gertz joining the Burgers in the off-season after a very productive stint at Burundara, helping the Eagles up into the top flight, and of course that run to finals as well, all led by John Kyrgios. But now it's in the yellow of Heidelberg that she's doing the damage, and against John Kyrgios and his Alamein team. Lasky towards the back post where Runnels is waiting. Important intervention from Bidwell, and that's half-time. Heidelberg taking an advantage into the break here at Dorothy Laver West Reserve. Haley Gertz's goal just a couple of minutes before half-time, putting the visitors on track for a victory. It was a highly engaging first 45 minutes. Both teams with some really good looks on goal. But in the end, it was Heidelberg who took their chance. And the reigning premiers with a lead to defend as they head into the second 45 for what would be a seismic result early in the Senol NPLW Victoria season. But that's half-time here at Dorothy Laver West Reserve. Scoreline reading: Alamein 0, Heidelberg United 1. Welcome back to Dorothy Laver West Reserve. Alamein and Heidelberg United battling it out in round 7 of the Senol NPLW Victoria. And at the break, it's Heidelberg who have themselves a surprise 1-0 lead. It has to be said, Hayley Gertz just a couple of minutes before the halftime break, taking advantage of a dangerous turnover. And finally breaching the Alamein defence, making Heidelberg just the second team to do so this season, and putting them on track to potentially be the first team to beat Alamein this campaign as well. But a long 45 minutes ahead of them before that's the case. Alamein with plenty of firepower and got themselves very close to scoring on a number of occasions in that first half, so they'll be hoping to continue to generate those opportunities and maybe take one of them as well, as they look to preserve their unbeaten streak and keep their hopes alive of jumping to the top of the ladder after this game comes to its conclusion. Early throw awarded Heidelberg's way after a brief debate with Dennis Georgikopoulos, the Heidelberg coach. Here is the goal scorer Gertz, sending it out towards Addison Broadbent. Gertz again gets past Anastasopoulos, only as far as Dakota Tyson. So from the looks of things, neither coach making any changes at half-time. Both teams certainly had their opportunities in front of goal and have a combination of their goalkeepers and defenders to thank, as well as a bit of good fortune for the fact that there weren't more goals scored. Throwing up towards Runnels, as Maya hasten for company. Physical interaction, but in the end, Runnels winning her team the throw. This is Aya Sasaki. Broadbent up towards Plant. Kerwood Wagner, Plant continuing the run. Leokopoulos sliding in and doing enough to send it into touch. Sun has popped back out just in time for this second half as well. Fairly temperamental day in Melbourne, of course, as far as the weather goes. Seen plenty of wind, cloud, as well as sunshine, and a bit of rain in the morning too. So Ji-yoon heading it back to Annalee Bidwell. Lasky and Tyson doing their defensive work. So Ji-yoon wasting no time with the restart, uses Akiyama. Wild in towards the penalty area. Shidara could have fallen to Plant. This is Akiyama. Plant with the left. Gnarly Plant! It's 2 goals in 2 weeks, and Heidelberg lead 2-0. A wonderful finish from the edge of the box, and the Burgers are putting Alamein to the sword. Goals either side of half-time. It means for the first time this campaign, Alamein have conceded multiple goals in a game. And more importantly, Heidelberg are creeping closer towards a second consecutive win. Alamein needing a quick response. Samalaski's ball inside. Chechonitsky, not her most convincing display of goalkeeping, but doing enough. And Zoe Houghton, from the looks of things, copping a little bit of a blow to one of her legs, so a little bit of concern for the Alamein forward. Hasn't quite been a day where Zoe Houghton has been able to have a significant positive influence on the game. Last season's top scorer for Alamein. And just getting that right leg checked out by the medical staff, so we'll hope that it's not too serious a concern. But for Heidelberg, this game has turned heavily into their favour. Gnarly Plant, of course, scoring just before half-time last week. Was subsequently substituted at the break. I'm sure Dennis Georgakopoulos will be glad that he didn't make the same decision this time, because soon after the restart, the Plant doubling Heidelberg's lead. Just continuing the pauses, continue to assess Zoe Houghton's welfare. Assisted to her feet there, does not look entirely comfortable. So you wonder if Alamein will be forced into an early change in this second half. Do have a number of options on the bench. The Laurie twins, Matilda and Harriet, as well as Priya Archdeacon and Ginger Kane. And of course Miller Ralph from the under-20s. Houghton limping towards the byline. So for now, Alamein will play with 10. Chinatsu Shidara there, stepping out of the defensive line. Runnels losing out to a combination of Hasten and Akiyama. See Alamein holding off on making any changes, certainly hoping that Zoe Houghton will be okay to continue. Such is her importance to this team. Here's Bidwell for Heidelberg. A real chance here with the player advantage to add a third goal if they were to do that. You could just about, well, they would have just about done enough to seal the 3 points. Gnarly Plant looking for another goal contribution. That one fired towards Templeman, but the goalkeeper claims. Alamein restarting from the back. Bujus towards Shidara. Shidara back towards Templeman. So Ji-yoon very nearly sneaking in ahead of the goalkeeper, but instead Alamein will look to counter forward. Hasten brings it to an abrupt end. And Gnarly Plant is offside. Well, the good news for Alamein is Zoe Houghton is back on her feet and good to continue. So the hosts returning to their full complement of 11. Zoe Houghton always important to this Alamein team, but particularly as they find themselves 2 goals down. Mason had a couple of players bearing down on her, got it away only as far as Lasky. Now Summer Lasky skipping around, Rosie Wild, still Lasky, and in the end taking it behind the goal line, so it'll be a Heidelberg goal kick. And Alyssa Chechonitsky will be very happy to take her time getting the play restarted. And not interested in the short build-up this time. Flicked on by Sasaki. Dustin mistimes the header and crunches in to Minori Akiyama. And for that, Nev Dustin will receive the yellow card. He's very much going for the ball, but insufficient regard had for her opponent, according to the referee. Dustin, the second player into the referee's notebook, joining Rosie Wild from the first half. So it'll be Hayley Gertz for Heidelberg. This is Soji Yoon. Looking to skip clear of Lasky, but the Alamein forward doing a really good job at harassing and haranguing the her Heidelberg opponent. First involvement for Houghton since getting back on the pitch, but Annalie Bidwell will chalk that up as a win. Thrown in board but met by Tyson. Now Emma Runnels sets Houghton on a run. Quickly closed down by Hayson. Throw sent in by Bugis. Emma Runnels heading it behind. So an unfamiliar position for Alamein this season. Couple of goals conceded, 2 behind. And all of a sudden needing at least 2 goals to take something from this game. And the good news for John Kyrgios's team is that they have started to find the back of the net a little bit more regularly in the last couple of weeks. 5 goals across the games with Bentley and Preston. But they'll need multiple again for a 3rd week in a row just to get a point from this one as things stand. Gertz's ball in, met by the head of Shidara. Lasky beaten by Wild. Here's Sasaki for Kerwood Wagner. Saw the idea, but the ball sliding all the way through to Miranda Templeman instead. Lasky and Akiyama resume their duel. Bidwell helping out for Heidelberg. Shidara could have found herself in trouble, but turned out of it. And now looking to relaunch the attack through Lasky. Lasky showing maybe a little bit of fatigue as she musters up the strength to run towards this one. Bidwell back in possession. And the call made that the last touch, I think correctly, was off Soji Yoon, Jordan Tom's wedge. Didn't have a great deal of intention behind it, but got the outcome that favours her team. For Heidelberg, though, this would be such a big result. They have put out some impressive performances away from home and not always gotten the 3 points. 2-2 draws away at Melbourne Victory, as well as at Burundara. This would be a first away win of the campaign. They're able to see it out. Gnarly Plant, the closest to this one, but not closer than Templeman, who was hoping to let it run behind, but in the end the ball just being held up in that muddier part of the pitch. Tom's wedge. Inboard to Tyson. Now Shidara getting more and more advanced as the Alamein centre back as the game calls for it. A little bit of a sharp intake of breath once again as that Templeman clearance did find its target. Here's Lasky, hoping to find Houghton. Chejonitsky off her line and diving onto the ball. And maybe the goalkeeper just a little bit sore in the aftermath as well. Did throw herself at it to get there ahead of Houghton. But with that break in play, the first substitutions of the match will be allowed to take place. And it's the scorer of the second goal, Gnarly Plant, to be withdrawn for Heidelberg. Teodora Juric taking her place for Heidelberg. From the looks of things, Dakota Tyson heading towards the substitutes bench. As well as Nev Dustin, I believe. So Priya Archdeacon onto the park alongside looks to be Matilda Laurie. So the one change for Heidelberg and a couple for Alamein. Archdeacon looking to pick up that left fullback slot. Vacated by Jordan Tom's wedge, who's moved into midfield. And Matilda Laurie also seemingly occupying a more central midfield position, having been brought into the game. Here's some involvement for Archdeacon as Kerwood Wagner looks to get past her. Does so effectively, but Janatsu Shidara got there before the Heidelberg substitute, Juric. Juric, of course, dropped from the starting 11 for this afternoon due to the return of Hayley Gertz, with a chance to make a real impact from the bench. In a more attacking role as well, it seems, trying to compensate for the loss of Gnarly Plant in attacking areas for the Burkers. Here's Soji Yoon for Heidelberg. Looks centrally towards Kerwood Wagner, and Kerwood Wagner saw the flash of yellow that was Teodora Juric, but that one will be chaperoned behind by Priya Archdeacon. Still a long way to go, of course, but if Heidelberg were to see out the game with this scoreline, we'll pause that thought as Sam Kerwood-Wagner charges towards the penalty area. It's to tee up Sasaki. But an important intervention from Archdeacon. Now Lasky for Alamein. Hoping for Anastasopoulos. Pass through is overhit. But on Heidelberg, they can keep Alamein out. It would be their first clean sheet of the season. The last clean sheet that Heidelberg have managed, you'd have to go back to last season's preliminary final against Essendon Royals. They have, of course, achieved so much of their success without necessarily being the stingiest of defences, the Burgers, but of course conceding as much as they have has made life fairly difficult, even when they are capable of scoring, as they've shown again today. But this time they've scored twice unanswered, so in pole position to secure the win. Alamein, though, have other ideas. Here's Runnels stepping forward, met by Wild. This is Laurie. Back up towards Emma Runnels. Now Akiyama looking to set away Juric. Met, though, by Leakopoulos. Throw in taken short to Soji Yoon. Now Broadbent. It's an awkward one for Miranda Templeman. Well, it's the kind of attempt that on another day maybe could have just floated inside that far post, but not to be for Addison Broadbent. So as we tick past the halfway point of this second 45, Alamein still with plenty to do. That goal kick met by Wild, but Stel Bugis charging forward into the Heidelberg half. Cross was inviting, but just ahead of Zoe Houghton, as has been the case a little bit too often for Alamein this afternoon. Just not quite making some of those forward passes work, especially in this second half. Juric poking it into the path of Kerwood-Wagner. Cross inside, Soji Yoon. Well, did well to direct the ball in the direction of goal, but skying it really the attempt, and it's a straightforward claim for Templeman. Here's Anastasopoulos. Cross blocked by Wild. And so there'll be a throw for Alamein. Taken short in towards Runnels. Really a nothing attempt to come from it, so Heidelberg will be happy to see those kinds of attempts continue to be created by Alamein, not posing significant threat. You do feel like those two goals coming at such a fantastic time from the Burgers' perspective, just before half-time and just after. Two of a coach's favourite times to find the back of the net, changing the halftime team talk, and then right after the teams come out, throwing a spanner in the works of whatever Alamein's comeback plan was. And you do just feel it has taken a little bit of the zip out of Alamein, that second goal at the start of the second 45. Soji-Yoon. Back to Juric. Puts the cross in towards Kerwood Wagner, who chested it down. But the assistant's flag was up. Archdeacon, the substitute, hoping to send through one of Anastasopoulos or Houghton. Could instead fall to Lasky. Trying to get around Bidwell, but the Heidelberg fullback has certainly had the better of that duel in this second half. Tom's wedge. Anastasopoulos' touch is too heavy. Composed from Shidara up until the long ball, which after a couple of bounces will fall easily into the chest of Chechonitsky. The attacking moves from Alamein, just not with the same bite that we saw in the first half. No doubt in part a consequence of Heidelberg not needing to be as ambitious with their own attacking forays. Runnels now towards Lasky. This could be the opening for Alamein. Summer Lasky pulls one back. There's some of that incisive attacking play that we know Alamein are capable of. And Summer Lasky doing just enough to get it past the goalkeeper. And with over 20 minutes left to play in this one, Alamein well and truly alive and still in with the shout rather, of taking something from this game. Finally able to get one of those balls in behind, timed right and weighted correctly. And if you give the Alamein forwards a chance, we know that they're more than capable of finishing off their opportunity. Credit to Emma Runnels for her work in the build-up. Playing a really lovely ball and Lasky finishing it off. Akiyama feeling hard done by there as her run blocked off by the referee. Lasky for Alamein now. The tension in this game has picked right back up. Chance for Laurie, met by Broadbent. John Kyrgios barking encouragement at his team now. He knows that this is a moment to really put the foot down for Alamein. He's, of course, a vastly experienced coach at this level. Former Heidelberg coach as well, John Kyrgios. He's coach of the year back in 2014 with the Burgers. And right now his team is on the front foot. Here's Runnels. Towards Houghton. Important touch from Bidwell. Lasky brought to ground, but referee not convinced there was enough for a foul. Leakopoulos uses Shidara. Well, for Heidelberg, of course, the wait for a clean sheet in 2026 goes on. Can't imagine Dennis Georgikopoulos will be too fussed with that if his team are able to secure the win this afternoon. So Ji-yoon towards Kerwood Wagner. Very tight angle and brought down by Tom's wedge, but all ball, and so Heidelberg will have themselves a corner. So over half an hour gone now in this second half. Heidelberg can restore their 2-goal lead. At this point, that would surely be enough to get them over the line. Hayley Gertz to deliver. Into the heart of the box. Was a real good look for Rosie Wild. Archdeacon charging towards the byline. And managing to play it off Akiyama. Here's Sasaki. Really just teeing up Emma Runnels that time. But Hasten able to cover for her teammate. Now Archdeacon. Runnels yet again. Such a pivotal figure at Alamein for such a long time, Emma Runnels. Now she's set away Lasky. Cross comes in, met by Wild. Bidwell's clearance didn't go to plan. Houchard got a shot away. That one claimed by Chechonitsky. No surprise to see Emma Runnels, such an inspirational key figure at Alamein, getting more and more involved with the game on the line. Here's Aya Sasaki for Heidelberg. Pulls the trigger from a long way out. Rattles the crossbar. Aya Sasaki. Well, that would have been some way to score the third. Alamein, though, get away with it. And their hunt for a comeback equalising goal continues. Emma Runnels has a number of options. Ended up in between two of them. So an opportunity missed there. Chinatsu Shidara now, only as far as Bidwell. And Hayley Gertz helping the ball on towards the opposition half. Will be another opportunity for a substitution to come in here. And Savannah Anastasopoulos is the player to be withdrawn. And it's the other of the lorries who's come onto the park. Harriet this time. This is Kerwood Wagner for Heidelberg, losing out to Runnels. And that change with Harriet Laurie picking up the left fullback position, seeing Priya Archdeacon move into a more advanced role. A little bit of concern in the aftermath of that last attack as Aya Sasaki remaining on the ground. So John Kyrgios shuffling his pack again as Alamein trying to crack the Heidelberg code to find themselves an equaliser. Of course, if they scored in the next few minutes, then we'd be set up for a really thrilling conclusion to this game, back at 2-2. Heidelberg, though, I don't think will be interested in such drama. As Alyssa Chechelnitsky sending this as high and long as she can. It's beaten just about everyone. So Ji-yoon just for a moment thought that maybe she'd be able to steal in and toe poke that ball past the goalkeeper. Instead, Templeman with a comfortable claim. Now Houghton for Alamein. Met by Maya Hasten. Heidelberg readying another couple of substitutions of their own. Akiyama up in towards Tom's wedge. Now Shidara. This is Archdeacon. Houghton has space on the right. Zoe Houghton towards goal. Well, it beat the goalkeeper, but it wasn't on target. So another good look at goal for Alamein. And with that last attempt having narrowly missed out, Heidelberg will now take their chance, I think, to make the double substitution. Marika Chua will be brought into the game in place of Aya Sasaki, whilst Soji Yoon is also going to be withdrawn as Madison Barwise will get her crack. Barwise, a player brought in from NPL New South Wales and the Bulls FC Academy. Now trying her luck south of the border. Here's Matilda Laurie. Didn't get far, so it'll be Harriet now to recover possession for Alamein. This is Kerwood Wagner for Heidelberg. A couple of the headband-adorned players resuming their battle. Kerwood Wagner and Leokopolis. Eventually it's the Heidelberg forward who comes away with possession. Well-timed challenge by Harriet Laurie. Laurie will have to get there ahead of Akiyama and does. Lasky on the turn. Crucial touch from Bidwell. Summer Lasky has already shown what she can do this afternoon, getting that goal for Alamein. Runnels' pass there is cut out by Madison Barwise. First touch, though, making it impossible to control. This is Archdeacon for Alamein. In towards Runnels. Chua now. Sending it out towards her fellow substitute in Barwise. Well, there was a period of about 20 minutes after Heidelberg got that second goal where, for the first time really in the match, you felt like one of the teams was a little bit comfortable with how things were going. Alamein didn't look particularly threatening, and Heidelberg with the 2-goal cushion, but that spell of comfort has well and truly come to an end, and resuming a little bit more of the feel we got in the first 45 with goalmouth action and the possibility of another swift or dramatic turn in this game. Hayley Gertz isn't interested in such things. Sends it all the way out for a throw, but now Alamein wasting no time getting the play restarted. Leokopolis, met by the head of Broadbent. This is Runnels. To skip around Chua. Berger substitute doing a serviceable job. So Leokopolis will get to restart again. Just the 2 centre-backs left behind for Alamein along with the goalkeeper, both Burgess and Harriet Laurie advancing a long way up the pitch. This is Archdeacon. Laurie is in space on the left. Eventually the ball gets there. Harriet Laurie inside to Matilda Laurie. The shot was on target. And the Twins very nearly opening up the chance. Harriet now will have some defending to do. Helpfully covered by Leakopoulos. Lasky finds Houghton. Houghton is through behind. Zoe Houghton for Alamein. Wonderful goalkeeping from Alyssa Chechonitsky. Has not been able to rest for a moment in the last 15 or so minutes, Alyssa Chechonitsky. And while she'll perhaps be a little bit disappointed to have let that goal past her from Lasky, she's doing plenty of good work coming off her line, with the game very much in the balance. Matilda Laurie wrestling Chua in the middle of the park. The end result is a Heidelberg throw. Flick on header from Barwise will be mopped up by Shidara. Shidara looks upfield. Runnels beaten to the header. Now Kerwood Wagner. Chua just shoved off it by Matilda Laurie. Now Runnels again, hoping for Houghton. Hayson was in the better position and diverted it away from goal. Into the final couple minutes of the 90. Alamein fighting to keep their unbeaten start to 2026 alive. And won't be able to get themselves back level with that attempt. Heidelberg edging closer to that second straight win. At that point, their season will be well and truly up and running. The defending premiers. Chance for Lasky. Well, it was ambitious from Chechonitsky, putting her flexibility on display. And the end result reflects some wonderful goalkeeping from the Heidelberg shot stopper. Chechonitsky still just 21 years of age, but has been in and around the NPLW system for a number of years. Made a senior NPLW debut back in 2022. But now back at the level with Heidelberg, having joined them from Bayside Argonauts. And could be busy in a moment or two as well, as Alamein have themselves another corner. A little bit of confusion as to whether the change would come from Heidelberg. And as we head into the final seconds of the 90, the ball sent in, Chechonitsky with a punch. Barwise doing her defensive contribution. Chinatsu Shidara, Barwise again. Lost a shin pad for her troubles. And with that, Heidelberg will be able to make their next substitution. Annalie Bidwell is to be withdrawn. And Alyssa Salasi will come on to see out the final few minutes of this one for the Burgers. Beardwell, you see, hobbling somewhat towards the bench. And confirmation as well, it'll just be the 3 minutes of second half stoppage time. So 3 minutes for Alamein to find their equaliser. They'll throw everything at this. Anna-Leakopoulos just getting the ball as far forward as quickly as possible. That one cut out by Salesi. And Heidelberg will be very happy to see that one sent out of play. Throw taken towards Juric, combining with Salesi, but Archdeacon for Alamein. Skips past one, tried the other, but Hayley Gertz was there to play disruptor. Runnels loses out to Alyssa Salesi. Well, she certainly made a contribution, having been brought on just for really second half stoppage time. Now bar-wise for the Burgers. A goal now would seal the 3 points. That one scrapping along the ground towards Templeman. Now Booges for Alamein. Didn't have a whole lot of options up forward, so played the conservative approach. Chinatsu Shidara puts it into the mixer. Matilda Laurie for Houghton. Perfectly timed challenge from Rosie Wild. Wild with another defensive effort, it seems. Just for a moment you wondered whether a second yellow card might be forthcoming, but in the end it's a foul. So is this to be Alamein's last chance to rescue their unbeaten start to the season? 15 seconds remain of the 3 allocated. And Chinatsu Shidara will deliver for Alamein's last attempt to snag an equaliser. Shidara sends it in. It's got too much depth on it though. Past Leakopoulos. Maybe there'll be a final chance for Heidelberg. Theodora Juric. Challenge on Laurie. And Matilda doing a good enough job. Potential of bubbling over in the aftermath. Matilda Laurie not much appreciating the challenge from Juric. Still we play on. Ball sent forward. Wild with the header. One back by Lasky, only as far as Akiyama. Now Archdeacon. Heidelberg continue to scramble. Chua sends it away. Theodora Juric shown a yellow card in the aftermath. Referee saying for kicking the ball away. But she won't care too much as her team edge towards the 3 points. Archdeacon's touch lets her down. Oh, it's a difficult one to control. Well, there were 3 minutes signalled of second half stoppage time. We're now up towards 4.5 of it. Kerwood Wagner hoping for bar-wise. The assistant's flag had gone up in any case. So maybe still time for another chance for Alamein. Desperate defending though from Heidelberg. It's been such a high intensity battle this afternoon. The reigning premiers may just have done enough as Kerwood Wagner heads towards the corner flag. And Heidelberg have done it. 2 wins in a row for the reigning premiers. And they end Alamein's unbeaten start to the 2026 season. Goals either side of half-time, just before the break from Haley Gertz and just after from Gnarly Plant, in the end are enough, despite Somolaski pulling one goal back for Alamein and creating a tense end to the game. Heidelberg won't mind though in the end. They've got over the line, and with that, continuing their ascent up the Senol NPLW Victoria ladder for Alamein. It's the first meaningful setback of the campaign, but they still have plenty to build on after the Easter break as they remain right near the top of the ladder. Couple goals conceded for Alamein, something that they haven't done all season up until today, but they'll be looking to bounce back stronger after Easter when they've got the midweek game against Melbourne City before returning to regular weekend action. For Heidelberg, well, they look to be making their charge now, having had a bit of a stuttering start to the campaign, and no doubt they'll be hoping to find themselves up in the top half and competing for final spots sooner rather than later. But in the end, it's Heidelberg who get the job done. A thrilling contest at Dorothy Laver West Reserve, and the visitors doing enough to claim the 3 points. Full-time score, Alamein 1, Heidelberg United 2.